So I'm sure a lot of you guys saw Virtus Pro against OG. It was a very intense series. Virtus Pro ended up coming on top with a 3-2 victory. And today, what we're going to be doing is looking at Epileptic Kid's Phantom Assassin. He popped off in the last game against OG. He went 9-1 with 13 assists, buys a rapier at the end of the game. And I want to look at every single decision that he makes throughout the match in order to become victorious against an OG team comp that is largely designed to counter Phantom Assassin. I mean that. I mean, Omni Knight is pretty good against PA usually. Reason being is his ultimate, obviously denies physical damage. Slark can man up pretty well to PA, right? He has his ultimate, does a good amount of magical damage. Magnus can kite away from PA, also buys physical damage, blocking items. Willow has Shadow Realm, and Puck just has a bunch of mobility. So all in all, it's supposed to be a very hard game for PA to play. It's a lot of magical damage early on, and on top of that, they have a lot of kiting spells. So how does he deal with this? How does he play around this and win the game for his team? We're going to figure that out today. And so smash the like button and subscribe, and let's get into it. Also, I just want to let you guys know that I'll be recording the first episode of Website Guess the Rank soon. If you don't know what that is, I'm doing Guess the Rank, but for website members only. It's not going to be posted here on YouTube. The videos will be posted on the website. I'm picking members that have gameleap subs. And so yeah, if you want to be part of that, it's first come, first serve. You just have to have a gameleap sub, message me on Discord, and I put you in the video. It's as simple as that. So if you don't have a gameleap sub and you want to join in, it's very cheap to get your replay reviewed. Essentially, that's what it is. What is that, $8 for a replay review? Honestly, that's the cheapest you're gonna find. So I hope you guys take advantage of that by clicking the link down below, and I'll see you there. Now let's hop into the laning stage. Honestly, it's a pretty easy lane for him. Magnus is not that good against you. Willow is okay, her Q is a lot of magical damage, but he has an Undying in lane to sustain him. So honestly, it's not that hard of a lane. I do want to note though his item build. He bought an extra set of tangos, right? It's currently 3 minutes into the game, and he rushed a wand. I see a lot of players still going this Wraithband route. It's not the play. When you're playing Phantom Assassin, you already do plenty of damage. You already have mischance. You don't really need more armor. I just don't see it as worth it. On top of that, your hero also just gets built-in attack speed through Phantom Strike. So basically what I'm saying is avoid buying Wraithbands and buy Wand if you're playing PA. It is a far better option. The next thing I want to note, I understand I talk about this in like 80 to 90% of videos, but it's such an important topic that most players don't get right, and here it is. Okay, so as we're hopping into the lane, the Undying currently had to go back to base. That means Epileptic Kid is in a bad position. He can easily get zoned out of lane, so how do you deal with this? The first thing you want to do is mirror the 4, so he actually contests the pull here. Kind of an interesting play, but he's looking to contest the pull. Okay, after he does that, he's going to shift around, right? Make sure the Willow retreats. After Willow retreats to back here, he's going to shift to the right to mirror the Willow and immediately pulls aggro. He pulls it from max range, or approximately max range. That's going to pull the creeps back to here, right? So the creeps then de-aggro. So what is he going to do? He's going to once again mirror the Willow. He doesn't do it fully. He gets a little bit close here. Maybe he could have went from here, but I think he wanted to aggro both creeps. So he runs to the middle, aggroes off the Magnus, run backwards, and he pulls it onto his range creep. Now after that, he's going to do it again. And this is what players don't understand. They'll pull creep aggro here and there. They'll pull it like 5 times a laning stage. The pros will likely pull creep aggro, especially in hard lanes, 25 to 50 times in a laning stage. And a lot of people don't know this. Now, the next thing you want to do in the laning stage is you want to determine how your lane's going. So in this lane in particular, they're not really looking to apply too much aggression. I mean, they definitely can because they have an Undying. But all in all, this lane is going to be not really too good. It's a Phantom Assassin. You don't put that much pressure most of the time, especially if the enemy lane is pretty strong, right? Willow is a strong laner. Magnus is pretty solid as well. And so all in all, that's not exactly what they're looking to do. So he picks up a Ring of Health. This is going to allow him to chip them down, which is pretty good against Magnus if he doesn't buy as much sustain, and play defensive, which is his overall goal here. Now, the next thing we're going to see is a decision that, honestly, I've even told people recently is a bad idea. I'm usually, well, actually not usually, I'm essentially always against this. And what he's doing is rushing Battle Fury. Now, I'm gonna give it some thought, okay, because obviously I have a ton of respect for Epileptic Kid. I mean, he just beat OG, of course I do. He's rushing a Battle Fury, right? Now, why is this okay on Phantom Assassin compared to a hero like Animage, where I absolutely despise it? The one reason why I think it is okay is because Phantom Assassin, number one, can take Ancients without treads. What I mean by that is Anti-Mage. If he buys a Battle Fury and he mans up to the Ancients, he takes way too much damage, especially if he doesn't have Tread's attack speed. PA though, she has Blur. On top of that, she has Phantom Strike, and therefore, she has attack speed and an ability that prevents you from taking damage, which is essentially the same reason you buy Treads. There is also one more reason to buy Treads if you're going to try to win the lane, right? And so if you're trying to win the lane, I still highly recommend you go Treads, right? If you're stomping your lane, you want to continue to crush them, buy Treads. It's a much better DPS item, gives you a lot more mana, a lot more agility. So all in all, you know, that's how you should look at this. If you want to win your lane, go the Treads route. If you don't, and you feel like you're just going to dodge or the game is pretty easy, get out of the lane and go Battle Fury, right? It is a bit risky, but wow, his team even gives him a regen rune. How funny is that? And they're really, really enabling him here. Anytime you have a Phantom Assassin on your team, guys, I know this is a Phantom Assassin guide, but I still like making these points. Even with a Phantom Assassin on your team, please, please, please enable her, whatever you do. This hero is a late game carry and requires a lot of space, and make sure you do whatever it takes to give her that space. And in this case, what do they do to make space for the PA? What does VP do? Very simple. It's very simple, but very effective. They give her the mid lane. PA loves the mid lane. She gets a creep wave, very convenient camps, she's close to the Ancients, and her team goes top, right? So anytime you have a PA on your team or some sort of greedy hero that wants to take Ancients, it's really good to give them mid farm, if you can fight. If you can't fight, well, you still might want to give the mid farm and, you know, give the PA mid farm or whoever it is mid farm and try to take dangerous farm in the side lanes, enable them. The next decision is my favorite of like the entire game. And it's funny because like, it kind of looks like a small thing, right? After killing tops and mid, so I didn't show that to you guys, but he kills tops and mid with the help of some teammates. After that, he runs to the enemy side of the map. Whoa, are you kidding me? Running to the enemy side of the map as a Phantom Assassin? Yeah, well, even though this could be dangerous, he does have his Undying with him, right? So Undying can try to save him if the time comes. Most importantly, what does he see? He sees Omni Knight mid and 2 heroes bottom. The enemy team has a Magnus, okay? So they're likely going to be dodging for most of this game as well. They're going to be trying to get this Slark mega farmed. It's typically what you do with Magnus. And so instead of going back to his jungle where, you know, his Shadow Demon is chilling, making stacks, and his Viper is busy farming the other side of the map, he's going to go to the top part, right? So he shifts to the top part of the map. And this I'm a huge, huge fan of, right? I'm a huge, huge, huge fan of. Because a lot of players, and in fact, someone, you know, I recently coached, I have to, you know, really drill it into their head that you need to get to the other side of the map. You need to get to the top side of the map, the enemy side of the map, when the game is shifting where the enemy team is bottom, right? If they are bottom, do not go bottom. You might not even want to go triangle if your mid tier 1 is dead. Because if they are bottom and your mid tier 1 is dead, the triangle actually becomes very dangerous because they can make a smoke play. Not always, it depends how your team is positioned, but just keep that in mind. And now because of his efficient farming and good rotations and, you know, the space created by his team, he maxes out his Phantom Strike, only taking 3 points in a dagger, and starts killing off Ancients. Obviously this is nothing crazy. If you have Battle Fury on Phantom Assassin, or any, you know, agility hero for that matter, you should be killing Ancients. That's pretty standard, but hey, it's important to note. So upcoming here is his first and only death of the game, and I want to look at it to see if it was avoidable. I know, it's like, speed, if Epileptic Kid couldn't dodge it, what's the point of even me trying to dodge it? Well, there's always good lessons to learn in every scenario. So here he was farming Ancients, right? Farming Ancients, his team is trying to protect the triangle, right? They are literally sitting here doing their best to enable this PA to come online, right? They just want to protect her. That's it. They just want to sit up here and protect her. And now she's actually going to shift over to this camp, right? Pretty standard. Continuing to farm with the triangle. Sees OG run in here. And funny enough, they just kind of catch her off guard. So honestly, this is the funny thing, guys. If you think you get pressured in your pubs and you think there's no space in your pubs, it's genuinely just almost never the case. It's typically where you're farming. Because in this case here, honestly, they commit everything for him. Literally everything. They get the kill. His team has to dodge. And by the way, I like what his team does here. PA dies, they don't try to take the fight, right? They immediately leave. And this is another good learning lesson. You know, anytime a strong hero in your team dies, or if the enemy team catches you off guard, you have to get out. You have to get out. In that 3K Smurf series, literally one person dies and the rest of the team just comes marching in to take a 4v5. Usually not a good idea. So getting to this next clip here, I would like to talk about his farming decisions. Once again, he is shifted to the top side of the map. He had a feeling, or they had a read, that OG was mid/bottom, so he shifts to the top side of the map, turns on his blur, and continues to farm this area. Once again, simple, but very, very important. Also, another simple but very important idea is that his team is about to get dove mid. Should you TP in, yes or no? The answer is yes. The biggest mistake that people would make in this scenario is not necessarily that they wouldn't TP in, it's the fact that they would already be here. And that's not what you want to do as high mobility heroes. As any game in which you can initiate into a fight like a second after it started if you TP in, don't go. What I mean by that is if you have Blink or Phantom Strike or, Storm Spirit Zip, don't show up to every fight early. You're going to neuter your farm. You're going to destroy your ability to carry the game. And so here he TPs in. It's a good fight. They're underneath the tier 1, tier 2. They're diving into a lot of tanky heroes, and so they're going to have to commit a lot of spells. Look at these heroes. Viper, Timber, Undying. Like, they're going to have to commit a lot to go on these heroes. They also have to run into a potential tombstone, And so that basically guarantees it's going to be a good fight for the PA because spells will be committed on these heroes, a lot at that, and she'll be able to, just get whatever she wants, whatever the pick-off is. So she throws a dagger at the Omni. He's obviously an important target. Tries to pick him off, ends up getting the kill. Kites to the outside. Very crucial. Anytime you're playing PA or Sven with Ags, don't just keep running in. If you can stun them or reinitiate a second later, it's not worth. Go to the outside. Kite to the outside, right? It's so important. Your hero doesn't do anything if you walk in. You'll do like 2 damage and then get disabled. It's not worth it, but he kites to the outside of the fight, jumps back in onto Seb, picks that kill up with a nice little crit as well, and continues to clean up this fight as they find the kill on Desaxa, following up his mid one. Thompson to follow. Yes, they do get this kill. He tries to juke into the Roche pit, but unfortunately he gets disrupted, so the orb does not go off, and it's another kill for Epileptic, I can't even say his name, Epileptic Kid. So the next thing I want to discuss in this game is how Epileptic's, fighting style completely changes with Aegis. So here's a big concept that I think a lot of you guys really need to just burn into your heads. If you don't have Aegis or you don't have BKB, it's very important that you play the backside and the edge of the fights, right? You want to TP in late, you want to, play around your cooldowns, you don't want to frontline whatsoever. But once you have BKB and Aegis, or at least one or the other, maybe you don't have BKB but you do have Aegis, but the enemy team doesn't have a lot of control, then you can still play Rambo. Maybe you don't have Aegis but you do have BKB, and the enemy team, really can't kill you if you have BKB, then you can also go Rambo. That's hard for me to say depending on the game. In this game, he kind of needs both, I would say. If he has Aegis but not BKB, they might kite him out. They do have a lot of disables and ways to just stall out the fight. So it really requires him to have both to go full, full Rambo, just full Devi. But once he has that, that's exactly what he does. Mid one split pushing here, right? Kind of just splitting up the map. You might be asking, why is mid one doing that so much this game? Well, look at VP. How many stuns does VP have? 0. They have 0 stuns. Literally 0 stuns. Pretty interesting team comp, right? It's like a team fight team comp. However, when this is the case, even if you're playing carry, you actually have to be the one who deals with the split push. The rest of his team, sure, they do have wave clear, but they don't really have catch. They can't really man up to the Slark. And so once he has Aegis and BKB like he does here, he's actually going to be the one dealing with the Slark for the rest of the game, which is a very heads-up play by him and smart decision-making overall. The next thing I want to understand, and a big decision for him, is right here. Okay, so split pushing is one of the most confusing things in Dota. It's really, it's something if you master, you'll just naturally gain a MMR. But you also have to master how to deal with split pushing. It's not only how to split push, it's also how to deal with split pushing. So here, the Slark is bottom. I mentioned that he has to be the one to defend. Now in this case, the reason why you want him, the PA to be the one to defend, because she can do it solo, so you don't have to send like multiple heroes to do it. But in this case, they actually send multiple heroes to do it. They send the Shadow Demon and the Timber. And so a lot of the time, the reason why I like this clip, if people have BKB and Aegis and they're feeling strong, look at the net worth, they're feeling strong. You know you're strong. She knows. She's popping out, or doesn't matter. But the point is, he knows he's strong, but he doesn't go high ground because the numbers advantage is not in their favor. They obviously need to back, and you almost always want to deal with split push first. The only time you don't deal with split push first is when you completely out base race them. But in this game, that is not the case. PA is not some great siege hero, and the enemy team could definitely throw up a couple spells to chip her down. Now finally that they've finished with the split push, he's going to be able to, go high ground here. Couple good decisions here. Okay, number 1, he jumps Slark. Most people would be like, speed. This seems really stupid. This seems horrible. What is he do? Why would he jump a Slark with Heavenly Grace on. That seems awful. Yeah, it does seem awful, right? But what is the reason that it's not awful? In fact, it's arguably the correct play. The reason for that is because you don't want to overextend. Your job as an overfarmed carry when the rest of your team has been sacrificing themselves for you is to also protect them. If you dive the backline when you're in this scenario against an assassin, Slark, alright, his name is an assassin, but you get the point, he's an assassin hero. If you jump the backline against a Heavenly Grace empowered Slark, he will kill your team, right? Especially considering his team, the Slark's team, is on their high ground and will be able to save each other. This team is not under a high ground. They still could, potentially save each other, but he jumps the Slark and is going to force the Slark to ulti early. It also forces a bad ulti out of No-Tail, right? So now they've stacked Slark ulti with No-Tail's ulti because he's gone on the Slark and protected his team. He hasn't jumped any of these backliners, and as I talked about earlier, it's not a great PA game. He needs to jump the people that get stunned. Now there's no stuns, but there's a Hex, so he jumped the Hexed Slark. Now that his team is a little bit deeper here, he can obviously go in, right? This is just him adapting to the fight. Mid-One's ulti has been committed. No-Tail's ulti has been committed. They take down the Slark. They take down the Omni Knight. He's going to go on to the Magnus next. Can't get that kill, so he makes the wise decision to back up and continue farming. Not only that, he was even pinging the wave here. This is very, very advanced. I love this so much. Great awareness. He's like, what is the only way OG can defend without their Slark and Omni? That is to cut the waves. So what is he doing? He's pinging here. He's like, Thompson's going to cut the wave. He's going to cut the wave. Now in this case, Thompson doesn't cut the wave, but it's very important that they get this wave up the high ground to prevent the backdoor. And by the way, Puck is notorious. The hero just cuts waves, right? It's literally what the hero does. And so, right, it's good awareness for him to just get inside the head of Thompson. And funny enough, that's like a big thing for, becoming a high MR player. You have to be able to essentially read the enemy team before they do anything. You have to be inside of their head just as much as they're inside of their own head. And yeah, now they kind of just siege it down. They hit their timing. He's got the Satanic. They farmed it up with that Battle Fury Rush and continuing to go high ground. Not really diving. He does go in here. I think he was hoping for a crit and just a one-shot the Willow. Unfortunately, he doesn't get it, so he immediately backs out. Right? Not overcommitting. Even that was a little bit dangerous, to be honest. You could see because he dives a little bit there, OG's like, this is our chance to maybe force VP into a mediocre fight. Force them onto our high ground. The PA is a bit separated. However, she's pretty tanky. Got the Satanic, got the Aegis. Gets RP'd, but, he has Aegis, so it's pretty mediocre from OG. And yeah, this fight ends up being a little bit weird. Does a good job popping his BKB late. The reason why he can pop his BKB late this game is because they've committed the Willow ulti, so that's out of the picture. RP is also out of the picture, and so there's no real disable that he has to care about. Even, Dream Coil is out of the picture. It's also an Ags Dream Coil, so BKB wouldn't even do that much in that circumstance. And so all in all, it's a good decision for him to BKB late. He probably even could have held it for a little bit longer there, but hey, nonetheless, you guys get the point. Also, he even TP's out. It's nice. Right? I think a lot of people, I know a lot of people would stay in here. It's just a good habit to get into. If you know your team's getting picked off, like this Viper's dead. He's just dead. He's half HP. Sure, he's got a cheese and all, but the Shadow Demon just bought back. He has to TP in and run from across the map. Ilias on the Undying has no mana. Timber has no mana. The Viper was, stranded. And so instead of YOLOing in to try to save a stranded Viper, he TP's out. He understands he can still continue to get items, and most importantly, he can push in the lanes and, hopefully prevent OG from, pushing. Now in this next fight here, honestly, I have no idea. I'll be honest, I don't fully understand what OG was doing. I think they were trying to force VP to fight into them, right? VP doesn't have any displacing spells, like they don't have lasso or anything to force OG deep into the base like Venge Swap, and so OG can sort of siege with this empowered Slark, and Heavenly Grace Slark, but they make a good play. They kind of just put the Slark under. They have the Timber go on the Slark. Obviously, Slark doesn't really want to try to kill Timber. That's not going to do too much, and Epileptic Kid makes the good decision to go on No-Tail here. Pretty simple reason why. It's the Omni Knight. You always want to kill him first if you can, right? If it doesn't force you to overextend. Now, he does get skewered all the way out of the base here. Really good play by Seb. He's able to get the BKB off, however. Blink out. I don't know what happened there with his camera. I think he clicked the minimap, or he's hacking. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, he was able to disengage. Soxa goes for the Psycho play. He's playing very careful here. He actually understands with no one dead on OG, he could get blown up. Funny enough, OG actually goes back in. They do have this E-Blade on Thompson, so he does quite a number here. Almost enough to actually just straight up kill the PA from this point, but he understands this. Once again, Epileptic Kid is always inside of the head of OG. He knew they were going to fake back there, which is just intuition, right? He just felt like, oh, they're not dead. They have a lot of kite in and out heroes, right? They have a lot of heals, a lot of sustain. So even though they just seemingly left, they're probably coming back. And finally, to end off the game, or kind of end off the game, this game actually lasts 43 minutes, or 39 in here. He once again jumps to Slark. He also buys a Divine Rapier. Wow, that is quite the decision. But once again, he goes on the Slark. The Viper also had a Hex. Viper unfortunately jumped a little bit late. Also, fortunately for VP, Midwin still had to use his ulti. And if you understand anything about Slark, you know, if that hero has to use his ulti early, it's really bad for him. It's really, really bad. And now with the knowledge that Slark's ulti is down, they go and obviously they're going to force a fight at Roshan. If OG doesn't fight, they get an Aegis with the Rapier PA, so OG has to fight. But as I mentioned, Slark doesn't have ulti, and so he's just dead. And now No Tail's dead. And now Seb, you guessed it, is not dead. And now it takes a very long while. I'm sure this was a long minute and a half for VP, but even with the Aegis, you can see once again, not overextending, waits for GPK on the Viper to go in with the Hex, right? So he goes in with the Hex. Synergized jumps are very important in Dota. When you go in at the same time, you do a lot more damage because you control people, and therefore saves can't come out, right? You protect each other, you enables each other's damage. It's the same thing in the laning stage, right? It's just different amounts of damage. Now, in this clip here, they actually get RP'd back into the base. Bit of a disaster, but fortunately for him, he's a Phantom Assassin, so he can sort of walk it off, still has the BKB, and then, oh, look at the crits come in. Mid one goes down inside of his own fountain, and they're back to the tier 4s. You know, funny enough, OG really tried to stall this one out, but without the help of the Slark, that's going to be all in a wow. This was an incredible series to watch. Epileptic Kid played incredibly well. He's definitely one of the most, I'm not going to say underrated carry players because honestly, he's not underrated. A lot of people know this guy. This kid is very talented. Epileptic Kid, I guess I should call him a kid. And yeah, wow, by the way, great disruption from Safe. I don't know how he saw that skewer coming, but he did. I don't think the skewer would have killed the PA anyway, but it would have been close. Epileptic Kid goes in again, pops a Satanic, takes down the tier 4s, continues to kite out to avoid Thompson from bursting him, even is able to basically disjoint the E-Blade for a second there, picks up the kill on the Thompson, forces the buyback, hitting the throne, the Divine Rapier. Oh my god! Nah, but honestly, he played great this game. I hope you guys enjoyed and learned from his gameplay. If you did, smash the like button and subscribe, as well as comment down below who I should review next, which pro, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace! But yeah, that's going to be about all, folks. Remember, click the link down below and subscribe to the gameleap website where we have thousands of videos, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace!